He was a giant in the world of music. His trademark rich baritone voice brought to life such hits as Crazy Arms, You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, and For the Good Times. Yes, Ray Price will be missed. But his mark on country music and the music landscape of America will never be forgotten. To pay homage to such a man, we here at Country's Family Reunion felt it was time to gather together some of his best friends, country music greats themselves, to share stories and songs about the great Ray Price. And you know what? Of course, they all wanted to come. Hosted by Bill Anderson and Ray's wife, Janie, this celebration of the life of Ray Price is a treasure. Welcome to Country's Family Reunion, tribute to Ray Price.
We're celebrating the music, the life, and the legacy of the great Ray Price on this edition of Country's Family Reunion. Janie Price, who was married to Ray Price for 43 years, sharing stories and fun. And you say you've still got the 2 Rolls Royces at home?
They're still in the garage, right where he left them.
Can you still smell smoke in his?
There's no smoke at all. He quit smoking. I'm sorry, forgive me.
It's all right, honey, we do it too.
I'm sorry. I told you I'd never done this before in my life. Okay, what were we talking about?
You were telling me he quit smoking, so the car doesn't still smell like smoke.
No, but he did. He did take that car on that hunting trip. He did. He went and got some buddies, and off they went to West Texas, and they had a dove hunting trip in that car.
He didn't bring it back with any scratches or
no,
dents?
No. Then he became very protective of it. Don't you scratch my rolls.
Darrell McCall toured with Ray for many, many years, fronted his show. You were telling me during the break a very, very funny story about being introduced on stage one time when you were a part of the Cherokee Cowboys.
Yes, it seems to me like it may have been like Omaha, Nebraska, or someplace like this. A huge auditorium. The place was packed and had this huge, big curtain, the velvet curtain and the whole thing, and Buddy and I and all the boys were set up behind the curtain. And came halftime, and Ray said, boys, I want Darrell to do the first 15 minutes. I want him to introduce me, but we're gonna let this other boy, the disc jockey here in town, introduce Darrell and the Cherokee Cowboys. So this other boy was a young guy. He was like 22, 23 years old, and he had those real heavy glasses that looked like percolator tops, and he pulled them off to be real cool because he had a young audience in the front couple rows, mainly all girls, and they were all screaming when he came out. Well, he had it all written down. Darrell McCall and all of Ray Price's Cherokee Cowboys from Nashville, Tennessee. And he came out, and we were behind the curtain. And we heard all the girls screaming when he came out, and he'd pull those glasses off. And he came out, and the first thing he said was, well, hello, everybody. How you doing this afternoon? Had that disc jockey voice, He said, all right, direct from the Grand Ole Opera in Nashville, Tennessee, here they are, Darren McCoy and all of Ray Pierce's Chippewa Indians. They pulled the curtain, and I watched Buddy just slide off his steel. That was one of the funnier situations, Bill.
We're singing one of them great Ray Pierce songs.
I got you covered. All right. This one called The Other Woman. It goes like this.
Don't accuse me of being without feeling. If you do, then you know that you're wrong. For it was you who was careless, and you drove me into another's arm. The other woman isn't prettier than you, but the other woman soothes my wounded pride. And more important, I feel, other woman in my life. In the middle of a river, and I can't climb out on either side. And if I go over the deep end, it's because, sweetheart, you haven't tried. The other woman isn't prettier than you, but the other woman soothes my wounded pride. And more important, I feel wanted again. I can't give up the other woman in my life. I can't give up the other woman in my life.
Right here it is.
Darrell McCall and the Chippewa Indians.
Thank you very much.
Tell them who the guy was singing the harmony with you there.
That's one of the best harmony singers that I guess that Nashville has. As far as I understand. That's my little brother back there, Dennis, singing harmony.
Dennis is with us on all of our shows. Great job, man. Did y'all ever tour as brothers or anything?
Oh yeah, we toured Las Vegas, Dennis and I.
My very first gig was Las Vegas with Darrell and Waylon's band. 17 years old.
Now,
Broke him in just right.
I learned a lot.
when you came here, you told people that Johnny Paycheck was your brother. Y'all went as brothers for a while.
We did. We did, and we liked to starve to death in Nashville.
Well, he was still Donnie Young back then.
We both changed our name to Young, Darrell and Donnie Young, and we were going to just tear Nashville up. We thought we really had it.
You did.
As the Young Brothers. Well, we got here, and they already had so many brother acts. They had the Wilburn Brothers and the Leuven Brothers, the McCormick Brothers, the Stanley Brothers, and they didn't want any. If it wasn't for you and the whole gang over at Tree Publishing Company, we'd have starved to death. And then we found out that we could sing harmony with different artists, and there weren't many harmony singers in town. I think Roger Miller and myself and Paycheck were about the only three harmony singers. So we got everybody's sessions, from George Jones to Farron to anybody that came to town. Bill Anderson, he was really fun to sing with too. 99 years.
Don't bring all that up. Janie, I got to ask you, and it's getting away and changing the subject a little bit, but we were talking earlier about the last recording that Ray made, and you're keeping so much of his memory alive with the different tours where you're putting his costumes and all on display. I feel certain the answer to this is yes, but please explain it. Feel free to elaborate on it. There is a web Pierce. See what you did to me. There is a Ray Price website. That's where I was going. That's where the web came from.
Okay, have I got this right?
You got it. Just
okay.
Perfect. Go right ahead.
RayPriceMusicConnection.com.
RayPriceMusicConnection.com.
And Ray Price Facebook. I would love for everyone to join us on Ray's Facebook, and so we can keep up with all of the ongoing projects that we have planned for Ray. He would be so excited. We've got more things that we're doing now than he had in the last year of his life.
Well, now, was he into to all the texting and emailing? Had he gotten into the 21st century computer age?
He loved it, but he didn't know how to do it. And so he would, we lived on a farm, and we opened that Facebook page for him, and this is hilarious. We have an office up on the hill, and my sister Virgie always worked in the office for us, nearly 20 years. And so every morning after we'd open this Facebook page, he would drive up there after he would come back from breakfast, and he'd honk his horn, and Virgie Angie would come out and he'd say, "How many have I got today?" And we started out, 10 or 15,000 people. And then as it grew, he would come down to the house and he'd say, "Can you believe there's 80,000 people on my page? Isn't that awesome?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And then, of course, around 130,000. And he said, "Wouldn't it be something if I could just do one concert a year and have everybody at that one concert?" He was serious. So he didn't do the texting and everything himself, but we did it for him. And in the end, Ray, he sort of got connected with his fans again for the very first time, because Ray had to cut back on his traveling because of his illness. And prior to that, Ray probably worked 250 to many days a year. And he loved his fans, and he would try so hard to stay on the farm and do all of those projects. And there would come that day when he would just have that yearning to go, and I could always tell. And so I'd call Bobby Roberts, and I said, "Bobby, we need to get some dates booked. He's driving me crazy." Everyone in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? And so he would go out on the tour, and then when he would come back, this would be his refuge, and he would just lock that gate behind him. We had a 200-acre thoroughbred horse ranch, and he would close the gates, and he would be back home, and then he would go back into that farmer mode and taking care of his animals. But then he never could stay away. He would always, Bill Mack would call, or he'd want to call Buddy and Emmons and talk with him, and he had to go again. And so it was just a cycle. We've got suitcases we never unpacked, and I know everyone in this room they know what I'm talking about also.
What was the label, the last album?
Oh, there I go, rambling again. I'm sorry, that's what you asked me, right? Miramonte Records. They are located in Dallas, Texas. There are these two wonderful people, Daniel and Dana Bloom, and who own this label. And Daniel and Dana were brought to us by Joe Mansfield, an old friend at Columbia Records. Everyone here remembers Joe. Joe came on board. Well, here I go again. Now I got to back up. When Ray decided to do the album, he called Fred Foster, and he asked Fred. He said, "Fred, do you think it's possible that an old fella like me could ever have another record in the charts?" And Fred was quiet for quite a while, and he said, "Well, Ray, if anyone can do it, Ray Price can."
That's right.
And so Ray got together with Fred. Fred started sending him songs. And I have got to tell this story. This is one of the funniest stories that ever happened. And by now Ray's wearing his little Ben Franklin glasses. He did not need glasses to see, he just needed them to read. And Fred sent him hundreds of songs. I mean, literally hundreds. Every one of you you know what I'm talking about. You know what you go through when you start gathering up songs to start preparing for one of these albums. Well, Ray had in his mind a concept, as he always did with every album he ever recorded. As we look around the room, I see each one of these albums, when he would start choosing songs, a particular song for a particular album, he always kept a theme in mind. And in this particular album, he told me, he said, "I want to leave something for you and for my fans that is something that will represent the Ray Price, that the way I feel inside toward you and toward my fans." And so I am so excited for everyone to get a chance to hear this album. He put together 12 of the most beautiful love songs that has ever been sung on the face of this earth. And so Joe Mansfield brought us with the Miramonte Records, Daniel and Dana Bloom. These two wonderful people knew how ill Ray was. Now, how brave were they to take on this project? Who do you know who would have? These people are just, I can't wait for everyone to meet them and everyone to get to know them. You're going to love them just like I do. And so Ray got Fred Foster, and Fred brought him the songs. And where am I now? The story about the songs. Story about the songs. I've got to tell you this story. You're going to all love this story if I can get it out. What Ray had, when he would find a writer, someone that he really, really liked, or a song that if he would get one song and he would choose that song, and then he would say, "I'd like to hear some more of their songs." that mode. And so he would get on the phone and call Fred, and Fred, a particular writer on a particular song, and he would say, would you please have the writer send me some more of their things? Well, one day Fred wasn't available. And so Ray just picked up the phone. He said, well, get this guy on the phone, get this company on the phone. I want to find out if they have any more songs they could send me of this writer. He is one of the ones that he chose in this album. And so I dialed the number for him. I handed him his little cell phone, and he picked it, and he said, hello, this is Ray Price. He said, I would like to speak to someone about one of your writers and some songs. This lady on the other phone said, right, and I'm Patsy Cline. And she hung up on him. He had his little Ben Franklin glasses on. He said, she hung up on me. That lady hung up on me. And I said, well, what happened? He said, I don't know. She just hung up on me. And I said, well, call Fred back. And maybe Fred is there. Maybe he can get hold of them by now. He calls Fred. Fred answers the phone, and he told him what happened. And Fred said, give me that number. And so he gave Fred the number. And later, Fred calls Ray and tells Ray this. He calls the number, and he said, hello, this is Fred Foster. I'd like to speak to Patsy Cline, please. True story. The lady fainted. Fred Foster said the lady fainted. I had to share that with you.
That is wonderful. And the album, the last one, can be ordered online, right? Is that the Ray Price Music Connection?
Well, that's not the only place. Yes, you're going to get it. Go first of all. We have. You got to know about Steve Popovich Jr. Everyone here knows Steve Popovich Sr. This is Steve's. This is his son, Steve Popovich Jr. Steve came on as the president of this label, and so Steve has put together a team of people in this city here who are just absolutely remarkable. And he's got marketing behind us. He's got public relations. He has got the radio people, and every one of these people have been brought together by Steve, and they are doing an absolutely remarkable job on this album.
Okay, so it's available in record stores then?
You can buy it at Cracker Barrel, Hastings, Walmart. And if you go there first, and then of course it's on Amazon and it's on iTunes. You can download on iTunes, Amazon, and then if you can't find it there, then come see me. I'll have it for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Janie. That's good information. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to order. And again, the title is? The
title of the album is Beauty Is the Final Sessions.
Yeah. We'll all look forward to hearing the whole record. Larry Gatlin, you're just itching to sing. I can sit over there and see it in your face.
I'm like T. Graham. I haven't been nervous since the 4th grade, and it's a spelling test I hadn't prepared for. But I'm nervous now. And y'all know I ain't big on nervous.
I thought you were just quick.
Quick, yes, I'm quick.
Why are you nervous?
Well, because I've got it.
Do you know the history of this song that you're going to sing?
I do not.
My secretary walked in one day into my office, and she said, I've written a song. I've got a lyric. And she had written some lyrics before. She did not know anything about melodies. She said, I've got a song that I like the lyric. It's called A Way to Survive. I said, wow, I love the title. She showed me the lyric. I said, that's great. She said, will you put a melody to it? I said, well, I'll try when I get time. I'm busy doing whatever I was busy doing. I come back to the office a few days later. I said, about that song, she said, never mind. I gave it to Hank Cochran, and he wrote the melody. So after I fired her,
I guess.
But Hank put a beautiful melody to it, and it's a great song.
Well, I've been working on it for about a week, trying to memorize it and all that. So I really am a little nervous. I mean, we're talking about Ray Price. I mean, we're not talking about Ray Schwartz. This is the Right Reverend Ray Price. And Miss Janie, what a beautiful lady she is in the story. Don't worry about taking too long telling the stories, girl. We're loving it. You've got a captive audience here. I first met Mr. Price when I was 17 years old. I came in from working at a refinery out in Odessa, Texas. I pulled in my little blue Morris Minor to the Gulf Station. I had worked from 8 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is true. I wrote about this. The people at Fox News asked me to write about my friend Ray, Mr. Price, when I can't even call him Ray. the day that he passed, and I wrote about the Right Reverend Ray Price, the classiest cat in the alley, period. Because I was filling up my little Morris Minor, and in comes that Cadillac, and I'm in my old, I've got grease and oil from top to bottom, and out stepped this ostrich boot and the longest leg I have ever seen, and this silk and wool sharkskin suit, and it was Ray Price. He was going to sing at the Melody Club that night in my hometown of Odessa, Texas. And I told him about the story many years later. He was always very kind to me. He was kind of a crusty old dude sometimes, but that meant he liked you if he was that way. So, and I was very honored that I called Miss Janie a couple of days before he passed away, about a week or two, and got to speak to him a little bit. And she asked me if I'd sing In the Garden for him the last morning that he lived. And she said, he's smiling and shaking his head. So I'm very honored to be able to sing that for you and for that wonderful man. And dear God, I'm going to try to sing this song your secretary wrote, Bill. Kick it off, boys. I look at her picture too often. It helps keep her memory alive. It's not healthy, they say, looking back on yesterday. But for me, it's a way to survive. I must cling to what's gone if I'm to go on. No, I can't face the future. I've tried. Perhaps for the rest, looking back is the best. But for me, it's a way to survive. Mike Johnson and the New Cherokee Cowboys. When my heart aches, I read all her letters, and the words make our love seem alive. They all say I won't last, looking back at the past. But for me, it's a way to survive. I must cling to what's gone if I'm to go on. No, I can't face the future. I've tried. Perhaps for the rest, looking back isn't best. But for me, it's a way to survive. But for me, it's a way to survive.
Very good.
Hey, don't forget, there's a store down below. You can get Country's Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner stuff.
Great job, man. Great job. Yeah. Jeannie, you were married to Hank, I guess, about that I could have never written a melody as good as that. I'm glad he got a hold of it.
He did write a melody.
Yeah, he wrote
there,
a great
didn't he?
melody to that song.
Well, when you told me the story earlier, you might as well share with the rest of the room. First thing I said, did he ever give her credit for the lyrics?
Oh yeah. She's half writer on the song.
I didn't always get that. But Jan and I share stories about that. You know, it's like you say anything, and he'd say, "You didn't say anything romantic." He'd say, "Is that original? You know, is that your?"
Immediately they started to want to write a song about
That's
it.
right. You know, he'd say something right.
Well, you know what Hank told me one time when I was first in Nashville? He said, "Listen, son," he said, "don't say anything really creative around the legend. He has a very creative memory."
Then he did. He did that. Which, by the way, I think it is wonderful. I joke about Hank and knock him every chance I get. But I think that he truly is one of the greatest writers, and I'm happy to see that he's going into the Country Music Hall of Fame this
We
fall,
all are.
too. It's great.
Deserves to be in there. I couldn't help but notice over there at the table with our friend Bill Mack, two people that we're sitting here talking about knowing Ray, touring with him, and all this stuff. You guys, this is Teea Goans and Mo Pitney, two new artists in our business. Not only did you never see him or work with him, you probably weren't even born when he was at the top of his career. You're both terrific in that you are carrying on the true country tradition.
Oh, thank you.
Because so many young artists today are not doing that. Teea, talk about Ray and his music and what it has meant to your
You
life.
talk about songwriters, and you know any?
Are you Teea?
Right there is one of the best songwriters that ever lived, Mr. Bill Anderson.
Oh, come on, Bill. Thank you.
And really and truly, you were.
We're talking to Teea. And Mo.
And these are great. All these people are great. But
We'll let them talk.
Ray, Willie Nelson. Let me just mention.
You've been hanging
something.
around Jim Ed Brown too long. It's your problem.
Willie Nelson told me, he said, you know, if it had not been for Ray Price, I wouldn't have made it. That was presented at the memorial service and at the going away service for Ray. And I know Willie would like to have been here, but he couldn't make it. And I know the reason why, and he could not make it. But he told me a story one time. Ray, you know, Ray was a funny guy. He had a great sense of humor. But then there was that time that Willie was writing all of these songs for him. And really, Ray opened the door for him in many ways. And Willie had this farm. I think he was married to Shirley at the time. He had this farm outside of Nashville. And Ray Price had this fighting rooster. Have you ever heard that story? Yeah, he had a fighting rooster. And he prized that thing. And so Willie had the farm, and Ray paid a lot of money for it. They used to have the cockfights, you know, and they were illegal. They were illegal. And so, anyway, he called Willie and he said, I've got this rooster here and I paid a lot of money for him and I'm going to go on tour and you got your farm out there. Could you take care of the rooster for me while I'm gone? Willie said, sure. Sure, I'll be happy to. So Ray brought the prize rooster out there and went on his tour. And about the second night that the rooster was in the hen house, the wife, Shirley, came in and said, that rooster killed a couple of our chickens last night. And Willie said, well, it's, you know, we got to take care of it. It's Ray's prize rooster. And so about 4 or 5 days later, Shirley went outside, got some more chickens that killed, and killed a couple of roosters too. How about he kill it? And Willie said, no, don't do it. Well, anyway, about a week went by or so, and Ray called Willie, and he said, how are things going? Willie said, everything's okay. He said, how's my rooster? And he said, we're having that for supper tonight. And I said, what happened? And he said, well, Ray didn't record one of my songs for at least 6 months. But
Teea, let me get back to you. Thank you, Bill. Being as young as you are, okay, Ray Price, among others, bound to have been a big influence on you. Talk about that.
Ray Price has always been my #1 favorite singer. And when I moved to Nashville, one of the first real jobs I had when I moved here was working for WSM. That's where I met a lot of you. I was working for the radio station. And the very first event that I ever worked, I was selling T-shirts and doing promotions for them and handing out bumper stickers. That's what I did when I first went to work for them. And the very first event that I ever worked with WSM was Ray Price's show at the Ryman. And I had never seen him live. I'd always loved him, always knew him, always a fan, but I'd never seen him perform. And that experience completely changed my view of how I felt about the music industry, how I felt about country music, and seeing him get up there and sing and do his show, and he was so versatile. He could do anything. We've talked about that today, about how he could sing anything. It didn't matter if it was honky-tonk or if it was blues or if it was almost jazz, you know, all that kind of stuff. And when I saw it, it completely impacted the way I was viewing my career and the kind of music that I wanted to do and the kind of career that I wanted to have. I looked at him as, that's who I want to pattern my career after. And I've heard him speak so many times. I've had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times. And there was one night, this has been probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I was coming in from a road date. I was driving by myself in my car, and I was listening to WSM. And Ray was in town and had just dropped in, surprisingly, to do an interview. And it was late. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm driving home, and I called my husband and said, I'm just going to go out to the studio because I just want to stand at the window. Y'all know how the WSM studio is like a fishbowl out there. They've got that glass. And I thought, if I can just stand out there, I just want to see this happen because I'm listening to the things he's saying, and it was like he's talking right to me. And I went out, and Eddie Stubbs was doing the interview, and of course, Eddie gave me the hands, you know, like Eddie does, come on in. And so I sat in the room, in the studio. It was just Eddie and Ray and me. And I never said a word. I cried 90% of the time. It was a religious experience to me. And I really felt like God used that moment to solidify a lot of the things that I believe about the music that we make and the traditional music, and sticking to your guns and doing what you think is right and choosing the songs that you love, that mean something to you. And just hearing him say those things, it was magical. That's the only way I can describe it. And when we put my first album together, the very first song that I came in the room with for ideas for songs was off of an old Ray Price record that I had worn out, and it was called I'm Still Not Over You. And that was the very first song I brought in and said, I want to cut this song.
And that's the one you're going to sing today?
That's the one we're going to do.
Come on up and share it with us. Miss Teea Goans, keeping the traditional country music alive. Have you heard her sing?
Yes, I have. I wanted to tell you that she did a tribute song, placed it on her Facebook page for Ray when he passed away, and somehow I saw that and I fell in love. And I sent her a message and thanked her for it, and she and I became friends.
We did.
And isn't it ironic that that's how I got here?
Yeah.
This is how I got here.
The way that it all happened, the fact that we're Facebook friends, when you were talking about Ray coming in and going, how many likes do I have today on my Facebook? I'm the same way, and I'm going, I love it. He was so into that kind of stuff, and being able to meet you through that. And today's the first day we've met face to face.
It is.
And I'm just so honored to be able to do this song, and I'll do my best not to tear up while I do it.
That's what I've been trying to do.
Today I made a point to go somewhere I knew you'd be. I had to know if you still had the same effect on me. And the moment that I saw you, there I knew, no matter what I do, I'm still not over you. I'm still not over you. That feeling's still the same. I'm still not over you. I find that nothing's changed. And perhaps someday I'll find somebody new. But now it's much too soon. I'm still not over you. I can't explain why seeing you affects my sanity. But when I see you, I become a strange and different me. And the moment that I saw you, there I knew, no matter what I do, I'm still not over you. I'm still not over you. That feeling's still the same. I'm still not over you. I find that nothing's changed. And perhaps someday I'll find somebody new. But now it's much too soon. I'm still not over you. No matter what I do, I'm still not over you.
Teea Goans. Great job, Teea. That's terrific. Janie, have you run into or met or heard the young man that's sitting next to her over there, new recording artist for Curb Records named Mo Pitney?
He just came over and said hello to me at our last break. I was so pleased to meet him, and I told him that he and Teea, these are the people that Ray Price lived for. These are the ones that he wanted to see coming after him.
Yeah. Well, he would have loved both of them. Mo comes out of a bluegrass background. So how did Ray Price touch your life musically?
Well, I sit back. I'm trying to stay out of the magic here today is what I've told everybody. I'm just back here soaking it in. But I never got to meet him. I never got to see him live, ever. Got to hear stories about him from people in town. But, you know, I traveled and played bluegrass music, but country music was always around. My dad was a steel guitar fan, and he's a player. And Buddy Emmons, he was a huge fan of Buddy Emmons. I was being a fan and had to go up to Buddy in the break and say, "Buddy, can I please get a picture with you so I can send it to my dad?" And my dad was thrilled about that. But Dad had all them old Ray Price records, and I listened to them in the car with him or on a record player at home. And that's how I learned the song that I'm going to sing later on. But
Well, you've picked a good one.
well, I have. I think it's one of my favorites. It's Don't You
Come on
Ever-
up and share it with us.
All right.
Mo Pitney is going to have his first record out shortly. By the time that this gets on the air somewhere, it could very possibly already be out. But he and Teea, I think of all the young people that I have met recently in this business, they have this music and this life in their hearts. It's not something that they've contrived or made up to try to be on top of the latest fad or something. These two really believe in their music and are sticking to their guns. And I guess, Teea, you can answer this. You've been here a little longer than Mo has. Do people come up to you and try to encourage you? Okay, you need to be more modern. You need to get in the type music they're playing on the radio and all?
Well, when I first moved to town, that was kind of the thing, you know, and of course, me being straight out of the country and moving to Nashville, you're just trying to hear what everybody has to say to get your name out there. But I think I learned early on, my grandmother loved traditional country music, and that's what I was raised in. And so that's kind of all I knew, really. And I don't think I could be very poppy, even if I tried to be. But one thing that really stands out in my mind as you're asking me this question was that night that I was watching Ray be interviewed. One of the things that he said, they were talking about, you know, when he had went through that phase where he was kind of trying to sound like Hank Williams, and then he had to figure out his own sound. And one of the quote, and I hear this in my mind a lot of times when I'm doing things, but he said, the thing is you've got to be yourself. That's where it's at. And just those words, I think that's so important because it's so easy to lose yourself in anything, but especially in the music business. It's easy to lose sight of what you love and what you came here to do. And I came here to make traditional country music. And I'm just thankful that there's an audience out there that still wants to hear it and that we have opportunities like this to be able to get it out there and let people know that it's still alive and there are still people out there trying to keep it going, you know.
Well, people like you and Mo will help keep it alive. Sing us a song, Mo Pitney, ladies and gentlemen.
You make my eyes run over all the time, and you're happy when I'm out of my mind. You don't love me, but still won't let me be. Don't you ever get tired of hurting me? You must think I look bad with a smile, for you haven't let me wear one in such a long, long while. Still I keep running back. Why must this be? Don't you ever get tired of hurting me? Someone must have hurt you long ago, but why take revenge on the one who loves you so. You don't need me, but you won't set me free. Don't you ever get tired of hurting me. You must think I look bad with a smile, for you haven't let me wear one in such a long, long while. Still I keep running back. Why must this be? Don't you ever get tired of hurting me? Don't you ever get tired of hurting me?
Mo Pitney. Great job, Mo. Thank you. Of course, that's another Hank Cochran song. Is that something you said to Hank around the house one night and he wrote a song about it?
No, that was one of his other wives, and she had a reason to.
Let's move right along from there. Was Ray the first person to record that song? Because I know a lot of people have cut it over the years.
I think Jack Green had it first,
Did he?
and then Ray did it, I think. Both great records, but it's a great song. Mo I know Bill's been telling me about Mo, and you're absolutely right, everything you told me about him. He's great.
Well, I think, you know, I think the future of country music is in good hands when there's
Pretty
people like
darn
Mo
good
and Teea
hands.
that are staying true to their thoughts and beliefs. And,
I tell you
and
what, this is
their
a real
roots.
blessing for me. I just want to let you know I've been moved today. I really have. I spent a good time with the Lord this morning, and I just thanked Him that I was able to come here and hang out with you guys.
We're glad to have you here, man.
Hey, Bill, Mo and I, you know, my wife Janice and I moved back to town about 3 years ago, and Mo and I have had several songwriting sessions together. And as great a singer as he is, and we all know that this young man, and Teea also, God love you. Like you say, it's in good hands. I've written 4 or 5 songs with this young man. And how old are you?
22.
Man, I got socks and underwear older than you are. At 22, he is an old soul. He's an old soul. When you get around him and hear the way he feels about traditional country music and music, and I've had some chats with him. I said, hey, I'm rooting for the kids who are doing it their way in Nashville. That's fine. I didn't do it like everybody else. You know, Ray Price didn't do it like everybody else. He did it like Ray Price. But I said, hold on to what you believe the deal is. And he said, I'm going to hold to what I know is right in my own soul, and no matter what else anybody's doing around me. And we can, like you say, be grateful and thankful that we've got young people coming up who really care about the music, and they're not going to sell it out. Great job, kids.
Oh, thank you. Love you.
Kiddies.
And he's a great songwriter.
Oh,
so
my
many young
Lord.
writers. I go in and write with a lot of young writers, and there's some great talent out there. But there's a lot of them that are kind of waiting for you to lead the way, and they will follow. With him, if you come up with something he don't like, he'll tell you.
I'm telling you.
And he'll tell you some better way to do it.
I guarantee you, he's a wonderful. I mean, if you're going to say, I love you in the first verse, you can't say, I love her in the second verse. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, that would be a good country song, wouldn't it? He understands the context and how a through line of a song. At 23, I mean, it really torques me off.
22.
22.
It's 22, Larry.
22, excuse me.
That's all right. I forgive you.
John Conlee, you did it your way. You didn't come to town sounding like anybody else. You still don't.
Well, no, I've been blessed, and it's not my fault. It's nothing I did on purpose. People ask me about that all the time. I credit my time in broadcasting as a disc jockey as much as anything else for affecting the way I sound when I sing, because of using my voice to speak for nearly 10 years. And that changed the whole way I sound. So I'm blessed.
So the whole time you were a disc jockey, were you wanting to be a singer, and was that kind of a means to an end?
Singing and music was just always my main hobby, and so I was doing it just for me, and I still would be if it hadn't worked out as a career. But as it turned out, it did work out, and so, you know, here we are.
You talk real good.
Thank you very much, John. I love Darrell's imitation, too, of a disc jockey. That's great.
All right.
And true in so many cases.
And if this music thing don't work out, you can always go back to the funeral home.
I can always go back to the funeral home. Right. Everybody feeling all right in here today?
Did they ever leave you alone in that funeral home late at night?
I lived there. The last few years I did it, I lived there. Yeah.
Did you ever walk around at night singing to the ghosts or anything?
No, I didn't. Nor did they sing to me.
That's what you should be worried about.
That's what you're worried about, yeah.
They start singing to you. What was your relationship with Ray?
Well, I got to work with him a number of times, and for the last 5 or 6 years that he was with us, he and I ended up doing a show in Biloxi, Mississippi together every year for the last 4 or 5 years. And that was always a treat. I always looked forward to it. And I remember the last time we did that show was just a short time before he had to leave the road. And I remember he had to do the whole show sitting on a stool because he just was too weak to stand. But you could not hear it in his voice. His voice was perfect, sitting on that stool. And you know, what a treasure.
He still hold the mic way down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He still had all the power. He just was too weak to stand for a long time. But it was a phenomenal show. Another memory I have is can I go ahead and walk? Because I guess we're going to go up here. I was hosting the Opry one night when we were still doing the live TV show. And Ray was on the segment that we were doing. And I remember, of course, when he came out, he brought the house down. He did 2 songs, as I recall, and he should have had an encore. But because it was live TV and we had to go to a hard break, a commercial, it couldn't be. And he walked up to the side of the stage, I remember, and he realized he had an encore, and he looked at me and went, and I all I could do was look at him and just shrug because we couldn't do it, you know. And I was always so frustrated by that. I'll never forget it. And of course, I explained to him after we got through why it had to be that way. But he was phenomenal. I loved him a lot. I wish I could have worked with him a lot more. Well, since we're doing Hank Cochran so much here, well, let's just keep it going. Here is another Hank Cochran song that, in fact, I heard Jamie Johnson did a tribute album to Hank last year, I guess it was, in the last couple of years. And this is my favorite song from that tribute. And, of course, when Ray kicked into his part of this, it just knocked me out. This is You Wouldn't Know Love.
Yeah.
You look at me, but you don't see me. I talk to you, but you don't hear me. Your indifference just beats all I've ever seen. I tell you I love you, but you don't know what that word means. For much too long, I've tried so hard to hide the way you've treated me and the way my pride. A blind man could see what you've let go by. You wouldn't know love if it looked you in the eye. much too long. I've tried so hard to hide the way you've treated me and the way you hurt my pride. A blind man could see what you've let go by. You wouldn't know love if it looked you in the eye. You wouldn't know love if it looked you in the eye.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, John. John Conlee. That's terrific. When he was talking, Janie, about Ray sitting on the stool and doing this show, Ray always seemed to be so relaxed. And I don't mean just on stage. I mean, I remember the night, I've told you about him coming to Commerce. I went out to talk to him on his bus about 30 minutes before he was going on stage. He was in his stage clothes lying down on the sofa taking a nap. I mean, how many of us take a nap 30 minutes before we go on the stage? Was that just part of his personality, to be
That's
laid
just
back?
the way he was. That's just the way he was. He just knew his job, and he knew his songs, and he knew what he was going to do, and he just walked out there and did it. And when he walked off stage, he was just a guy, just a guy.
I can't imagine Ray Price ever having stage fright.
Well, I don't think he ever did have. I don't think he did. He never appeared to be nervous.
When he went to sleep on that couch, I mean, he went to sleep knowing, like, I'm Ray Price.
Well.
This will all be okay. I saw him, the last time I saw him live, he did a Christmas show down in a little town outside of Conroe, in Conroe, Texas. And remember, Janie, he had the flu so bad. He was so sick, but he wasn't going to, disappoint those people. Beautiful little theater, full house, had the 12-piece orchestra and the Cherokee Cowboys. And I went back to pay my respects, and I didn't stay very long because I knew he was sick, and I was introducing him, had the honor of introducing him that night. And when I walked out right before he did to introduce him, and Mr. Price was about 5'8". He was about 5'8". And when I said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ray Price, and all of a sudden he became 6'2". And he became Ray Price, and he walked out there in that black suit and that little tie. And when he sat out on that stool, it's all over. And like I say, he went to sleep knowing he was Ray Price. He's going to be relaxed. I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness. Ray enjoyed working with Larry so much. And he loved him. Ray loves everybody that he worked with, but he had some special people that he really loved. And this wonderful man called and sang to my husband. I'll never forget it, and I'll always be grateful to you for it. And his voice was so beautiful. I had him on the speaker, and so Ray could hear him, and wow, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Not a dry eye, including me.
Bless you.
You were wonderful.
You said that you met Ray, or y'all got married around 1968?
I met him in 68.
Met him in 68.
I met him again in 69. and we got married in 1970.
Okay. The reason I said that is when you look at the timeline of Ray's records and his career, it seemed to be right around the late 60s when you began to sense that maybe Ray wanted to be more than a clone of Hank Williams or another Hank Williams, and he began to change his style. And I think there were two songs that came before For the Good Times. Of course, For the Good Times was the one that changed everything forever. One of those songs, I think, that kind of led to that was Nightlife, which we did a while ago, which was a real departure for him. And Johnny Bush is going to do the other song that I think was kind of part of that stepping stone of Ray Price going from kind of one place in country music and one place as a singer to the next place that was waiting for him. Johnny, were you working with him in the late 60s? And the song I'm talking about is Danny Boy. because Danny Boy was
Yes,
kind of
it
a
was.
departure.
I think it was the DJ convention about 64, 65. Columbia had their Columbia show at the Ryman. Is when he sang Danny Boy. I think the way he come about doing that, on the road, we'd have his guitar pulls, you know, these motel rooms. And Jimmy Day used to sing that a lot, play the guitar. And I think Ray just wanted to record it, and when he did, boy, he did it good, too. And
Boy, he really did. And in
That's
those
a-
days,
that's a- that
he
was the
could
first
go on
time-
the stage and stop a show singing it, too.
yeah, it was at the Columbia show at the convention, and when he got through singing that, all the musicians on stage, it was back and everybody just tore their card sheets up like that. It was over, you know.
How about you doing your version of it? Because I heard you singing it at rehearsal, and you nailed it as well. Johnny Bush.
While he's coming, could I tell everyone something? Sure. I brought the original Danny Boy jacket here. It's on display of the album cover. The album cover that he recorded, Danny Boy, it's here on display someplace over in this area. It is the one that he wore on the album cover. I just wanted to tell everyone that.
Oh, well, that's terrific. Thank you for...
I told you I had everything.
I believe you do. Johnny Bush.
If I may, I would tell a little story that happened a few years ago. We were working package show in San Angelo, Texas at the River Stage. And Ray always got there pretty early, and we got there early too, but his bus was already there, and I didn't want to bother him. And I knew I was going on first, so I didn't bother him. I knew if he wanted to talk to me, he'd send for me, you know. So we did our show, and when I came off stage, it was already dark. The River Stage was outside, and he come out of the shadows and walked right up to me and would punch me like he said, "Lower your keys and slow your tempos down," and walked off. Not hello, how you doing? Good to see you. And I said, wait a minute. That advice was unsolicited. He just kept walking. So 2 weeks later, Willie Nelson, I didn't do his name in it, Nelson. We were playing golf. And I told him that story, and I said, you know, he thinks we still work for him. And Willie said, hell, we do. Wanted to hear Danny Boy, I guess, boy. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling. From glen to glen and down the mountainside, the summer's gone and all the leaves are dying. It's you must go, and I must buy. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed or white with snow. For I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny Boy, oh, Danny Boy, I love you so. come. All the flowers are dying. If I'm dead and dead, I may well be. You'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave over me. And I shall hear those soft you tread above me, and on my grave will warmer, sweeter be. Or you will come and tell me that you love me. I shall sleep in peace till you come to me. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
Johnny Bush. Wow. Terrific, man. Can you believe all the talent that's in this room? It's already been here. And let me tell you who hasn't even sung and been here today. Tracy Lawrence, we're going to hear from you. Curtis Potter's here. Johnny Lee. You got the biscuit in your pocket, John?
I got 2 of them.
Dean Miller. We've still got a lot more to come. We need to take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey, if you like that one, you're going to love this one. Or this one.